Now, back to Ed Flash Ferentz with America's Workforce.
And we're back. Show's called America's Workforce, and we are available on various platforms, and that includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, as well as Spotify. Don't forget we're on Facebook, and you can follow us on Twitter, AWF Union Podcast. Let's go to line number one and welcome our rock star from the Insulators, Gina Walsh. She's a deputy director of the Labor Management Cooperative Trust of the International Association of Heat and Frost Insulators. We had Greg Rivard on the show last week, and he said, boy, she's a rock star when it comes to getting women involved in the trades, and that's why she's on the show today. Hey, Gina, did you catch out that show from Greg?
I did, Flash. Thanks. I mean, I've strove all my life to be a rock star, so now I'm there.
Love it. Well, Gina is involved in a huge event this coming Saturday, October 17th, and this was supposed to be a 3-day conference attracting women from all around the world, and it's called the Tradeswomen Build Nations Conference. Gina, talk to me about where we are with this. We had you on the show a couple weeks back and kind of tease this conference a little bit. I want to get into more details. And where are we with registration right now? How's it looking?
Well, it's looking good. Right now we have lots of sisters signing up across the country, and I'm excited. It's not it's going to be a new platform for all of us, but I think since this worldwide pandemic, we've kind of mastered having meetings virtually, so it's going to be exciting. And the best part about it is it's free, no charge. Everybody gets to come for free because we don't have any expenses. I'm saddened that we don't get to see each other in person, but we need to be safe and follow the rules so we can get through this. But it's going to be an exciting conference nevertheless. It's been pared down to 1 day. You can register at NABTU.org/TWBN. That's NABTU.org/Tradeswomen Build Nations. And there's another thing below that registration. If you click on the big blue letters, that's where you register for the conference, where it says now open, registration now open. Below that, many of the crafts are having caucuses either right after or the day before for their members. The registration for that is also on that page. And those are exciting meetings. It's where the women get together with women from their trades only. So a lot of this is a two-part deal. We're going to have some exciting speakers. And the workshop is going to center around the Lean In program, which has been adapted for women in the trades. And we're very excited about that because it's a new tool for the women in the trades to use. And we're going to launch it nationwide. It was piloted last year in St. Louis, Missouri, my home local, and in Canada. So we are launching it next Saturday, this coming Saturday on the 17th, through our workshop. So it's pretty exciting. I'm anxious to see the feedback from the sisters across the country in Canada.
Now, Gina, a 3-day conference, generally how many people attend, and what do you expect for this virtual conference coming up this Saturday?
So we have had nearly 3,000 people at our previous conferences that last 3 days. I am hoping for more to attend because we've broken down some of the barriers that might have prevented women from attending in the past, like cost or travel. You know, some people just can't afford to take off work to go to a 3-day event somewhere halfway across the country. You know what? All you have to do is travel to your computer wherever it is in your home. And you can log on and be a part of this exciting event. We're going to have lots of speakers on Saturday. Sean McGarvey's going to be speaking. Liz Schuler's going to be speaking. And I can't tell you who the keynote is yet because it's a secret.
Okay. It's great that you brought up Liz Schuler. We're going to have her on the show this coming Wednesday to talk about that conference. And she's got an interesting background, too, because her dad was an electrical worker. She comes from the IBEW. And she'll talk about the male-dominant industries of years past, and they're still dominant. Let's address that right now, Gina, because you had a tough time breaking in to the Insulators. And when was that? Was that going back to the 70s or 80s? Kind of, if we could go back to that time and tell us about your struggle, because this is a story that other women want to hear about. Go ahead.
I started in the trade at the very end of the 70s. I had worked for about 6 months to a year on permit with the elevator constructors in St. Louis. They had gone on strike, so therefore I was unemployed along with all the other elevator constructors. And I wasn't a member of their union. I was a temporary employee of theirs. We were sitting around my mother's house one Saturday night, and those were the days of one car per family, and it was raining. So Mom and Dad said, yeah, nobody's taking the car out. My brother had a bunch of buddies in to play poker, and we're sitting around the kitchen table, and one of them said, well, my craft is never going to take women in the trades. And I thought, okay, we'll see. So I went the next Monday morning, since I was unemployed and didn't have a job, and went to his union hall to apply for the apprenticeship program. And I sat some more, and I sat even longer. I was there all day, probably about 6 to 8 hours. And finally, the guy came out and he said, hey, listen, you've got staying power, but if we have to hire women, we'll call you. And I, kind of chucked it into a Walsh and thought, oh, well, a waste of day. About 9 months later, I got a phone call. Would I come down and fill out paperwork if I was still interested in beginning an apprenticeship program with the Heat and Frost Insulators? And I did. And when I got there, the guy asked me, he said, why didn't you tell me who your dad is? I've known him all my life. I said, well, my dad wasn't applying for the job I was. And that's not how I wanted to get it. But I've enjoyed this craft more than once. It has saved my life. It's turned out to be a family for me, and it's not a job. It's a career, and I loved what I did. Now I'm in another facet of that career, and I'm proud of the work that my local and my international does. My daughter's a second-generation pipe insulator, and I'm proud of that. When I started out, there weren't many women. There were no women on the job site, and I can tell you that even today, when these sisters go to job sites, oftentimes they are the only woman on the job. And this conference and these programs that we're talking about, like Lean In, these are places where women can go and talk to other people who have had the same experiences as they did, maybe the same problems, how they worked it out, and give everybody a different vantage point. We have many folks that participate. Our business managers participate. Our international presidents and VPs participate. It's a very supportive event for women in the trades. And you are so lucky next week to be talking to Liz Schuler, because she is a rock star. The women that organized this conference, Vicki O'Leary from the Iron Workers, Laura Stagia from the UA. I mean, I could go on, and I shouldn't name these women because you always miss somebody. But this is a group effort of some really strong, dedicated women putting this together. And every year it gets bigger and it gets better. And I suggest to you that the next time that we're mobile, you participate. Okay. We're going to be in New Orleans next year, and the energy is electrifying. And if you can see it, you would be surprised. Everybody that comes and sees it and observes, they're like, oh, my goodness. They can't believe how energizing it is for these young women.
I would imagine you're expecting to be in person in New Orleans next year. Is that the game plan?
I am hopeful. We will do what we have to do. If we have to be virtual next year, we will. But it's my hope that we can bring this to some closure and get back to the way life is meant to be. But if not, we'll fight through it, right?
Yeah. Well, you got my interest on New Orleans. St. Louis, I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Hey, we have one of the biggest Mardi Gras outside of Barranquilla, Colombia, in New Orleans. So we do all right here.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Would you say that men are more accepting of women in the trades today? I mean, you had a rough time there. They're saying, wait, this is not a woman's job. Come on.
Well, I'd say I got in and proved myself. I was accepted, and the folks that I worked around, the men in my craft, now I'm telling you, in my craft, not necessarily the crafts around me, they mentored me. Once I was there, they knew I wasn't going away, and they helped me learn my craft. But once you get out of your time, I would show up on jobs and just little stuff like, I don't know how familiar you are with construction sites, but if you're working on the 9th floor and the only means to get to up there, if there's not a buck hoist or an elevator yet, you got to carry material up 9 or 10 flights of steps, and fire doors get locked on you. It's frustrating because you get halfway up, you can't get in, you got to go all the way down, find a key. Just silly things like that. People would lock doors. But you know what? You just talk to people and say, hey, would you treat your sister that way? Would you treat your mother that way? A lot of times things can be worked out if you just talk through them, and sometimes not. But I was fortunate enough to have a good career in my field, and as you can see, I feel like I am valued personally through my work with my international and the work with my local union here in St. Louis. I was fortunate enough to come up with a group of guys that are now in leadership here with my local. So we're all on the same page. We all came up together and advanced our careers in whatever field, be it politics or be it politics within the local. And I've been fortunate enough to share my time with them.
So, oh, yeah. You've worn many hats. You're also in the state legislature, and you did some wonderful things there. You mentioned your daughter. Now, how far along is she? This is a two-part question. How far along is she in the Insulators, and is she taking part in the conference this Saturday?
So first, she is now a journeyman. She's been out of her time. It'll be almost 2 years in January. And yes, she is taking part in this Saturday's conference. I actually took her to the conference before she was an apprentice. And she was just so impressed. The kid went to college. She took out student loans, got her degree, and then came home and said to me, can I do what I want to do now? I'm like, sure, you're grown up. You got a college degree. Go to work, get a job. She says, good. I went to a union hall and applied for the apprenticeship yesterday. I said, good on you, sister. And that's what she always wanted to do. I mean, out of my 3 girls, she was the quietest one. She called me when she was at college and said, you told me everybody had to go to college. I said, oh, did I leave off the part about everybody in my household? Because I wanted them to have degrees, something to fall back on. But, you know, as I learned through my experience with my daughter, and this is so true, I post stuff all the time about this, college is not for everyone. You know, and if I thought about myself, it wasn't for me. I had no desire to do that, but I had a driving desire to work outside and to be around other people all the time. And you know the beauty about my job when I was in the trades, if I didn't like the job I was on, I knew in 4 to 8 weeks I'd be moving on to the next one. Mm-hmm. Because I worked for outside contractors. I worked on new construction. So you were always moving, and you were always experiencing new people and new job sites, new areas of your state. So it has been a phenomenal career, and I was blessed to have it. I'm just really happy with how everything turned out since 1979.
It's a great story, and it's one of many great stories that's going to be told at the Tradeswomen Build Nations conference that's going to happen this Saturday, virtually. I want to give the website again for registration, and it's free. You got to love that. NABTU.org/TWBN. NABTU.org/TWBN. And they expect thousands of women from around the world to be attending virtually. Good stuff, Gina. Always a pleasure having you on the show. Good luck to you this Saturday, and I'm sure we'll be talking. Let's do a recap. How's that sound? Maybe after the conference. I know I'll give you a couple of days to rest and everything, kind of regroup, and let's do a recap. How's that sound?
It sounds great, Flash, and thanks for having me.
You got it. Gina Walsh talking about the big conference this weekend. Tradeswomen Build Nations. Gotta love that. Tradeswomen Build Nations Conference. NABTU.org/TWBN.